I need to turn off the Bluetooth. There we go. Hello, it's Patrick. You're watching Tesla Trip, and I'm getting ready to do a show for this week, this month, this quarter. I know it's been a long time since I've done a video, and I just thought, you know what? I'd do a live show, and I would ask for your guys' input. What is the type of material that you guys want to see that I post? So I thought I'd just go ahead and set this up live, and if anybody wants to chat with me, that would be cool, and I will await said chat. Let me get this thing set up here so I can get ready. I'm looking through stories. Obviously, the big thing was the shareholders, or not shareholders meeting. Well, yeah, the quarterly earning report from Tesla. I'm sorry, this is, my mount's kind of wonky, but let me get this situated here. There. Ish. I see that there's 3 people watching. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you want to see. I'm kind of going through different, I like looking at what Electric posts, obviously what Elon Musk posts directly in Twitter. Tesla Roddy is one of my favorites. Some of the authors there always post really good stuff. And just all my friends on Twitter. There's a lot of cool people on Twitter that are always posting stuff. I always thought it'd be fun to do like a sock puppet show of some of the quotes from Twitter just because they're hilarious. So obviously, let's see, some of the really big things that came out last week were, was it Cybertruck is done in terms of design work, and they're working on tooling now, and there is the new Autopilot Suite 4, which is apparently being shipped out, and they also put out that email saying that there's no ultrasonic sensors in the new Teslas, that they're going Tesla Vision only. And with Autopilot Hardware 4, coincidence? I think not. So we're probably going to get more cameras, so we get that satellite view, top-down view that everybody always requests, that the current camera suite isn't really made for, and that'll allow, you know, Tesla Vision to see objects that are up close. That's the ultrasonics are being used for right now, or at least that's my theory. Again, please chat away. I want to know what you guys think. What is your thoughts on ultrasonics going? First is the radar, now it's the ultrasonics. Oh, also the paint. We've got the new paint for the out of Berlin, and new colors coming to the US, or old colors coming back. I guess it kind of depends. Quicksilver Midnight Cherry Red, Giga Berlin. I can't remember how many layers they said, but they can do a bunch of different layers, so they can get some really unique looking colors. And I think pictures don't do it justice. You got to be there in person. Made from highly pigmented metallic paint, designed to change depending on viewing angle and light. Ooh, fancy. It reminds me a lot of the wraps that you see out there, where they're kind of like a little different depending on how you look at them. Tesla says our most advanced paint system yet, allowing for 13 layers of depth, dimension, and a hand-painted look. Ooh, fancy. Just checking the chat. Remember, this is live. Please chat with me. I want to get your guys' input. What do you think about the new colors? If they're going to be more unique, hand-painted, does that ruin Elon's plan of just having like spare bumpers and things lying around at all the shops so they can just quickly replace parts without having to worry about color matching as much? So this is going to be available in Europe and Middle East for these new paint colors. I also want to talk a little bit about Tesla used market, because it is ridiculous right now. Everybody, you vote, yes, more colors. Cool. Tesla started out with a lot more colors, and then they narrowed it down to the more popular ones to simplify, production and ordering and repair and all that stuff. But yeah, there's so many Teslas on the road right now, and almost all of them are white. For a while there, they were all black because that was the free color, and I guess silver is a free color now. It'll be nice to get some new colors. Oh yeah, Tesla used market. So if you've been following along with my story for the past couple of years, I was following Elon's advice, and I used some of the money that we got in a stimulus check to invest in Doge. It wasn't a whole lot of money, but Doge was a fraction of a cent. So I went ahead and bought 1 million Doge. And as it, climbed up, I sold a little bit and I bought some more later. But ultimately, I should have cashed out when an Elon was on Saturday Night Live and it crashed. I kept hope that it was going to keep going up, but eventually I sold the majority of it and I got a Model S Plaid. I traded in our Model S3 and got a Model S Plaid, and that was really cool because I actually ordered a Model X Plaid, but since it was delayed so much, I went ahead and just got an S Plaid for the time being, and it was really fun. I had some surgeries and stuff, so I wasn't able to do the type of work I had been doing, so I didn't really need the SUV as much, or a truck. I'm healed up now. I need the truck, hence the Rivian. So fast forward, the X getting delayed and delayed and delayed. I never canceled that order, and all of a sudden the Rivian was available that I pre-ordered a long time ago. So I got the Rivian. I sold the Model S Plaid, and then the Model X finally got delivered just a short time ago. And at the time, the Rivian was going for like $140,000, but I didn't have the paperwork yet to sell it, which is weird. So I'm still sitting in the Rivian. I haven't sold it yet. I still have it for sale if anybody's interested, $100,000. But I really like the Rivian, but I know I'm also going to get a Cybertruck. So I don't know. I'm at odds. And then my wife does not like the Model X. It's more of her vehicle. She likes her old Model X with the old screen and cubby and steering wheel, and she doesn't like the new layout. I love it. She hates it. It was her car, so we're trying to sell that. And it's weird. Even though it's like $147,000 config right now and like a 6-month lead time for a wait, apparently a lot of other people did the same thing, and there's a lot of them available. People are selling them between like 100,000 and 120,000, even though the configurations are tens of thousands of dollars more. The market's flooded. So anyways, we also have that for sale. It's just weird because like earlier this summer, all the used vehicles were selling at a premium in the spring by like a lot, and now everything's quickly coming down. So if you're looking to get a Tesla used, now is a good time. And if you go to the Tesla inventory site, or EV-CPO, you can do a search, and almost all of the Tesla certified vehicles from Tesla used have full self-driving. So you can pick up a Model 3 standard range for like $137,000. For $37,000, and you get full self-driving, which is a $15,000 value. So I mean, if you think about it that way, it's like getting a $20,000 Tesla. It's nuts. So it's It's interesting. It's very interesting. So I might do that. I might trade in one of these two vehicles, because I never intended to have two expensive vehicles like this, but it just kind of worked out weird. And probably drive a Model 3 around for a while until the Cybertruck comes in, which was probably going to be about a year from now, because Elon's saying the middle of next year, which, Elon time is always late. So, and that's just starting production. So mass production probably isn't going to be until 2024. I also have a Lightning coming in, and it starts production in November, the one that I ordered. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that, or even if I'm going to take delivery of it, because I got a test drive one, and it's nice. It's big. It's way bigger than the Rivian. It's a better work truck in terms of it has more onboard power to power things when you're out working in the field. The frunk's a lot bigger. You can power things in the frunk. But other than that, it's just like an F-150. Nothing special. Two motors. It can peel out. The traction control isn't nearly as good as the Rivian. It doesn't have the air suspension of the Rivian. It's nowhere near as fast as the Rivian. The interior and the screen layout of a Rivian is like a Tesla Model 3 level, 3Y. It's kind of in that range. And the F-150 Lightning is more like a Model S or X first generation, just in terms of like the layout of the screen, and it just feels like it's that older of a technology. And the Rivian's right there with Tesla in the pre-refresh Model X and S. And so Tesla with the yoke and the new screen layout and the faster MCU and the full self-driving and all that, it's just that much more above Rivian right now. Rivian could probably catch up eventually. The autopilot Driver Plus on Rivian needs a lot of work. They promote going, adventuring, and like I live in Wyoming, but their Driver Plus only works on freeways. There's like no freeways here. I mean, there's just in the edges of the state, and like one passes through like almost the side of it. Yeah, so it doesn't work any within hundreds of miles of where I live, and we still don't have CS charging. We're supposed to get some soon. I hope to help build some out throughout the middle of the state. Luckily, the one thing about the Rivian that's really cool is it does like really good in high winds, high speeds. It still gets rated range. So I'm able to drive from here to Loveland, which is like 115 miles, and the rated range is like 100 or 320 miles, and I made it. Like exact rated range, driving 80 miles an hour over hills in the wind. Tesla? No, it doesn't work that way. They're superchargers, so we're cool, but even in my Model S Plaid, I got a 400-mile range. I could make it there, but it would also be towards the bottom of the range. So I might only have like 50 miles left, or less, like 20 miles or so. And yeah, it's just the Plaid was better than previous models. I had successfully done it once in a Model X 90D, but it was almost impossible. I had to drive like 55 the whole way and basically hypermile the whole thing, and it only did it in the summertime. So yeah, I've got a bit of a personal conundrum on what to do with these vehicles. I can't really afford to keep them both, and I got them both for sale, but the market's dropping really fast. Tesla's still offering a really good trade on the Model X, which is about the same as what I paid for it. So I'll probably end up doing that, getting a 3 again. I don't know if I'll go with the Performance 3, because they're not a whole lot more than just the base 3 used. And we had one before, and it was amazing. It was great. Yeah, and chat, please. I'm gonna get back to the current news more, and putting together like the show, which has clips of what I'm talking about, more precise and to the point. But I thought this would be fun. Doing a live show. just a chat with everybody that's a subscriber online. It's notified, and if you're bored, popping in, give your thoughts on things. Like I said, the colors, can't wait. Elon did say they're eventually going to upgrade the paint factories in Fremont and over in Giga, Texas. It sounds like they're producing the semis. Oh, that's the other big news. Semi delivery December 1st to Pepsi. And Elon said he'd be there. I don't know if he ever gave a straight answer on when they're going to unveil the final pricing and specs of the Tesla Cybertruck, because they had specs and prices, but he said those changed, and so did market conditions. So you can kiss that $40,000 semi truck or Cybertruck goodbye. Ford did the same, bait and switch. Oh. Well, yeah, they advertised a $40,000 Lightning with like a 230-mile range, and poof, that was like available for like all of maybe 1,000 people, if that. And then it was a new model year, and they increased the price by $7,000 or $8,000, a lot. It's closer to a $50,000 truck now. And 230 miles on a truck really isn't that great. So if you really want to get the bigger battery, you're on that Pro model, you're still looking at like 155, 60,000. And then that was really limited. They didn't sell very many of those when you're pre-ordering them. You basically had to get the Lariat or the Premium, and then you're back to looking at like 70, 80, $100,000. Then there's the Denali that was announced the other day, and that's another $100,000 pickup. So all of a sudden, these EV pickups that were supposed to start around $40,000 are now $100,000. Rivian, same thing. This truck was configured at $75,000, and now it's $100,000 configuration almost. I think it's like 95,000. It's crazy. I don't know. I guess it's inflation or whatever, or just supply and demand, or a combination of both. Whatever it is, it's too bad, because we're really hoping that electric vehicles would ultimately end up costing less than the combustion vehicles. So that's my ranting and raving. So back to gathering everything for the show. Oh, you can vote on supercharger locations. That's cool. So you can go into the map and you can select and view, and then you can see how many votes areas are getting. I like this idea. Unfortunately, okay, I don't like this idea. I thought I liked this idea, but now I don't, because the places that need superchargers the most are the places that don't have a lot of people, so they don't put them there. Hence Wyoming. Middle of Wyoming, nobody lives here, but if you want to drive through here, you need a supercharger. No supercharger. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I can understand places that are over congested, but there's third parties, there's people's houses, there's a lot of options. There's no options in some areas. Oh, what other fun stuff is there? Oh, the new energy. It can now the new firmware update allows to show you energy consumed versus projected and gives range tips. So a better app for energy monitoring is in the Teslas, which is very neat. full self-driving, delayed another week for the next big update, hopefully really soon. Any ideas on what I should cover for the week's show? I'm also trying to think of a new name for the show. I have had Tesla Trip for years, but there's a lot of other things called Tesla Trip. You look up Tesla Trip, it's not always me. And I got a Rivian right now. I might have a Ford for a while. Love Tesla, but my main thing is electric vehicles. I had a Chevy Volt, and before they had a Prius and the Camry hybrid, and I've had GM hybrids, and yeah, love Tesla, but I like all the electric vehicles. So thinking of trying to make it a little bit broader. Oh, yeah, Rivian, the tonneau cover. I have one. I have a working one. I have one of the rare working tonneau covers, and the secret is lubrication. You spray it with I had like awning spray or not awning spray, slide outs for like a fifth wheel or a camper, and you put that on it, and it works pretty good until it dries up. So you got to spray it every few weeks if you use it a lot, but it keeps it working pretty good. They're probably going to put a second motor in it or change some gear ratios to get it work better for everybody. Or maybe they need to put a compartment to fill it with oil or something. So it's always lubricated, right? So it like dips in there when it stacks them. There's a pretty cool Monroe and Associates video where they tear it apart. I think Jerry Rig Everything was in there too, and how it works. I hope Tesla doesn't have the same issue with the Cybertruck. They're doing the same thing. Basically, if you use the truck in dirty environments, it's my sister just popped up, says I'm not nostalgic about combustion vehicles. This is very true. Not. It's from a quote I gave to Wyoming Daily, I think, when they interviewed me. Yeah. Thanks for keeping me company while I put together this show. I haven't done a show for a while, and I want to get back into it because I really enjoyed this. It's a lot of fun. It's funny, I used to do these live shows all the time when charging, but then charging got a lot faster. I used to do a lot of charging at RV parks and places where it would take hours, so I'd have a lot of time to kill, and I would work on my laptop and I'd get things done. But now it charges in like 10-15 minutes. No need. So I don't have any of that downtime. I also got 2 little kiddos now. I've got a 2 and 3-year-old. They take up a lot of time. I love them, but yeah, not as much free time. All right, I think that's enough news fit to print. Let's record this thing. I'll go ahead and leave you guys on if you want to. Zoom, not V-Room. What? I might record this twice just because practice makes perfect, or at least better and less editing. Vroom. Vroom is where you sell a car, used car. Sound of a car, vroom. Yes, vroom. Hello, this is Patrick, and welcome to some more electric vehicle news. It's been a pretty busy couple weeks, and I have some highlights here of some of the things I thought were interesting from the last earnings call at Tesla, a few things about Rivian, and just some personal thoughts on the used vehicle market right now for EVs, because it's crazy. All right, first off, new colors. It's pretty cool. I drive over to Colorado fairly often. Here in Wyoming, there's a few Teslas around. Even on my block, there's a few Teslas, which is very new and recent. And they're all the same colors, right? There's a bunch of white ones because that's a free color, and a lot of blues, reds. That's about it. There's not a whole lot of colors. So over at the Gigafactory in Berlin, Tesla is talking about their new paint factory. They got a quick silver and midnight cherry red, and they're really cool because they're made from highly pigmented metallic paint designed to change depending on the viewing angle and the light, kind of like I've seen some of these wraps that people get, and like depending on how you look at them, it's one color and it's another, and the shade they're pretty slick. And this is because they can use up to 13 layers of depth, so there's a lot of different layers of paint in there. So they say it gives it an added dimension and a hand-painted look. So say the Tesla Twitter account. These are only available, though, in Europe and the Middle East, but Elon has mentioned in the past that they will eventually upgrade the paint factories in Fremont. He has made it clear on Texas. I would have to imagine it already has that paint factory, but they're only making Model Ys there right now, and they'll be making Cybertrucks, which don't require any paint. So we'll see, or maybe they've got more of a standard paint factory in there right now, and they'll be upgrading to what Berlin has depending on how things work out, right? It's kind of like their beta paint shop. That's my theory. What are yours? Comment below. I'm not sure. And then on Twitter, someone asked, "Can we please get some more paint color options in the U.S.?" And Elon said yes. So hopefully in the U.S. we'll also get some additional paint colors. They might not be as cool. They might be a throwback to some of the old colors that used to be available on the Model S back in the day, because there used to be a lot of paint colors, but they narrowed it down to the most popular ones. And one of the reasons they did that, Elon was saying, is they wanted to be able to do quick repairs, like 1 hour repairs. So instead of waiting for a bumper to come in and have it be painted and feathered to match, they could get it precise enough that they could just replace the same color bumper and you wouldn't really notice it. It would all match. So it'll be interesting to see what colors come out of this. It would be nice to have some additional colored Teslas. I know over in, I think it was China for a while, and they still might offer wraps, so you could get different colors, like a pre-wrapped vehicle when you order it. Where they partnered with a third party that did that. It was something along those lines. If you remember, let me know below. Oh. Other big news, big news physically, is the Tesla Semi is finally going into production in November, and they're doing the first deliveries in December for Pepsi, and Elon's going to be there talking about it. It actually is going to be a 500-mile range truck, and that's fully loaded up to 80,000 pounds. Yeah, 80,000 pound payload. And he said this is, level ground, going highway speeds or freeway speeds, not necessarily over mountains, but still 500-mile range. That's something. That's going to be pretty cool. There's already been a couple of mega chargers that have been made for these semis, because they're basically like 4 combined superchargers in one to charge up these massive battery packs inside the Tesla semis. Other interesting note is they're the same battery cells that are in the current Model 3s, or well, they didn't exactly specify which battery cells, but they're not the new 3680s that are in the structural pack of the new Model Ys being built over in Berlin and in Giga, Texas. So they're kind of limiting which vehicles use those right now. Although they said they are ramping up production on those batteries, and there's other battery makers that are going to be making them for Tesla. There's a new firmware update that shows better energy consumption versus projected, and it gives range tips. So when that update comes out, get it, because it looks pretty cool. I can't wait to try it, but we're on the full self-driving beta, and all the regular updates are delayed by like a month or two because the stacks are not aligned. The releases aren't aligned from full self-driving beta and the public software builds that are out there for the firmware. Now a little bit of Rivian news, because I have both right now. I've got Teslas and I've got Rivian. Well, just one Tesla, but my work, we've got Teslas, my family, my sister, my mom, my other sister, they all have Teslas. So Rivian is on track to do 20,000 vehicles this year. So yay, Rivian. They had to do a massive recall, which involved tightening a nut above the arm joint, because you could potentially go out of whack and lose steering control. Not great, but it was interesting reading about how they found out. They use a torque wrench that's tied to a computer in a database, so they can see exactly how much torque they put on every single piece of the vehicle when it's made, thousands and thousands apart, go into a database. And they determined that they lost track at some point on this one particular part. And when they regained it back, they realized, uh-oh, it wasn't torqued enough. So they decided, don't risk it. We're just going to go out and check them all. So basically, almost every single Rivian made so far, I think there's like 9,000 of them or so, they had to go back and retighten the bolts. But they come out to you. If you just go over there, you just get into a line and they just do it really quick. They let all the owners know the day before they did the press release. I think they handled their first major recall great. It's a voluntary recall. It wasn't forced or mandated, but they're thinking safety first. And speaking of safety first, I saw my first big wrecked Rivian today online. Whew. The other car did not fare very well. It was an SUV, and it was bad. And unfortunately, the person in that vehicle did not survive. But the Rivian was on its top and holding just fine. It didn't look like, the cab collapsed on itself or anything, and it looked like it was in really good shape. And people were commenting, what kind of force does it take to flip a 7,000-pound truck? Yeah, it must. I don't know any of the details. I just saw the picture and I thought it was interesting. There's also one going around of a Model X that flew off of an interstate overpass. And it looks really rough, but the occupants walked away without a scratch. So it's pretty cool that these new automakers such as Tesla and Rivian are giving so much thought into safety. And because, there's a lot less moving parts and things, they can build in additional safety measures that just weren't in crumple zones and buffer areas that just weren't available in previous vehicles. There's a new software update for Rivian coming out, I think this weekend, but it's got a kneel mode, which is really cool because the air suspension, Tesla should do this too. So when you get to your destination, it'll lower so you can get out. So when you get back in, it'll return back to its regular suspension height. I've been doing this personally because it is too high up for me. It's really high, and so I just set it to the lowest suspension to get out, and then when I go off, I'll manually change it. So it's cool that that's going to be an automatic thing now. I think it's a great idea. Tesla should do it in the S and the X with air suspension. What do you guys think? I think it's great. It's like Tesla's easy entry mode with the seats. Same idea, but with the actual suspension of the vehicle. Tesla, I was on Rivian news, but I'm going to jump back to Tesla again because I just, that's how I am. Tesla put voting up for superchargers. Rivian should do the same. And so you can go into a map and you can vote on where they should put the next superchargers. Not great for areas with less population because unless people travel through there a lot, they're not going to get as many votes. So of course, most of the votes go to California. That's where everybody lives that drives Teslas. They may be short on them, but they have them already. So it's a little frustrating in areas that need them and don't have any at all. And what do you guys think about that? I mean, I don't know. I own an electric car charging company, so it should be a good thing for me, right? But we'll see. Hopefully, we'll have a lot more chargers here in Wyoming next year if everything goes according to plan. And no matter who ends up getting the funding, we'll have more, which would be great. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this show, my ranting and raving. Oh, I did want to touch just a little bit about the used market, because right now you can get a Tesla probably at the best prices for the Model 3 in a very long time, since the market went crazy and they used to be like almost $60,000 for any used Tesla. You can now get a used Model 3 for around $35,000 with full self-driving. So that's pretty cool. And Model X's, it's interesting because now everybody finally started getting the ones they ordered a year and a half ago. So you can get a pretty good deal on a used one. I'm either selling this Rivian or the Model X. I have them both for sale right now. If you're interested, let me know. pox@twosmartguys.com. And yeah, I'll give you a very reasonable deal, especially if you watch the show. If you like this show, please subscribe, like, share, all that fun stuff. It lets me know that you guys are watching. Please comment so I can have something to do. And not a lot of electric car owners in Wyoming. There are more. I see there's some people around my block that have them now, which is amazing. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks. Bye. All right. So, oops. Come on. All right. Any people that's left watching the live show, thank you so much. It's been a lot of fun. You can kind of see how the sausage is made. I don't know. This is how I do the show, and then I go back through and I add in B-roll. Some of the shows that I do though aren't just news shows. They're kind of like tips, tricks, and or like adventures that I go on and things. I've got some really fun ones that I need to post that I recorded of the Rivian, like towing a Leaf and then racing other vehicles while towing the Leaf. I've got a fun one where I put solar panels on it and see how much range I generate throughout the day. Yeah, I just posted one, but not a lot of people saw it, of how to get emulators working on a Model S or X, and or even a Model 3, and they work really smooth and while driving. Very interesting. So we'll see you guys later. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the live stream. Bye.